Hi, my name's Brendan, aka KungfuNerd, and welcome to KungfuNerd on YouTube. We are honored today to be joined by Brad Garlinghouse himself, the CEO of Ripple. He's joined us today as XRP has had a phenomenal last year and last quarter. We're looking today at what's happening with Ripple, with Brad, with XRP in the next closing the quarter out of 2018 and what we can expect for the beginning of 2019. So really just saying hey to Brad, what's going on with you? First out the gate, man, I hate to just put you right on the spot like this, but I gotta ask, do you think that BGs are legit or is that just hype?
There's no question, and I think some of your earlier participants, said there's a lot of hype in this space, but I think there's also a lot of hype, but there's a lot of reality. And Ripple's been very focused on how do we create real utility and solve a real problem. And in this case, it's for cross-border payments.
Wow, thanks. No, you're right. Yeah, I mean, no, I agree. Well, how much money do you think banks actually want to move?
It's for cross-border payments, which is a multi-trillion-dollar problem. And if we could reduce the friction there using blockchain technologies, we think we can create a lot of value for consumers, for banks, for the whole ecosystem.
Wow, that's a really big amount of money for the banks to move. So how much money do you think the banks actually want to send through RippleNet?
Well, we really are in the business of selling solutions, selling technology to banks. Part of that is simply a software sale. And part of that also for customers that want to take advantage of using a digital asset like XRP for liquidity. What that means is instead of pre-funding literally the trillions of dollars that banks have with other banks around the world, they pre-fund that amount that sits there. It's really dormant cash sitting there.
Wow, that's a lot of money. And you guys really think that you have the solution that's going to corner the market on that?
With digital assets, you can make that much more real time to enable a payment across a border into another currency in real time. Today, Ripple's doing that into Mexico with companies like Qualix, and we certainly see that expanding with other partners and customers over time.
And do you know off the top of your head how much money is just sitting in these accounts? Just sitting in these accounts, do you know?
There's $27 trillion sitting in these bank-to-bank accounts. They're called Nostro accounts, Vostro accounts. Yeah.
Well, I'm a pretty big XRP supporter. Did you know that I made an XRP wrap?
I appreciate that. It really is a problem.
No, thanks. No, I mean, I'll send it to you for free. Don't worry. I'll get you hooked up, Brad. I'll get you hooked up for sure. So can you tell me a little bit about the unbanked? We talk about that a lot in crypto, and we hear it thrown around a lot. But can you tell me what we mean when we say the unbanked, and who are we talking about, and what does XRP or Ripple have to offer?
Well, if you think about it today, banks want to serve customers as long as they can serve them profitably. If they can't serve a customer profitably, they're not going to do it. So when you talk about a migrant workforce, for example, in Africa, that is not obviously making a lot of money and is taking that money from country to country, the cost of using the banking system would actually exceed the income that they would have. If we can reduce the friction globally and make it easier for that migrant worker to hold assets, to move those assets without costing them lots of money, they then become part of the banking, the kind of global financial community. I think that, we think about an internet of value, and Ripple's long-term kind of 10-year vision is how do we enable an internet of value? How do we enable value to move the way information moves today, as you referred to email as an example? It's really bringing those communities into the system and allowing them to participate and benefit from being a part of that financial system.
So really, what are we expecting closing out quarter 4 of 2018 and looking at 2019, for XRP and for Ripple? What do you see?
Ripple owns 61% of it. There's 100 billion units of XRP that are created. We own about 61% of them. I think there's no doubt 2017 has been, amongst other things, the year of crypto. And within the year of crypto, XRP has outperformed every other digital asset out there. So year to date, as that chart showed, we're up about 20,000%. That gives us a huge strategic asset to go invest in and accelerate the vision we see for an internet of value that I was describing earlier. For me, this is all about an opportunity to participate and accelerate a vision we've had for some time. I think the reason why there's been excitement around XRP, well, there's been excitement around digital assets broadly, XRP specifically because people have increasingly realized that we have real customers, we have the best performing technology. I know you have actually talked about this, but to complete a Bitcoin transaction takes about $40 and the transaction, and it takes several hours on average. In contrast, XRP is very efficient. It settles in about 3 to 4 seconds and costs fractions of a penny. And in all of these digital assets, I think it comes back to what's the utility, what's the problem that's being solved, and are there real customers that can take advantage of that?
Wow, thanks. No, you're right. Yeah, I mean, no, I agree. And can you tell me a little bit about the coins that you guys have in your possession and how much they're worth and what your plan is to do with those?
Well, certainly we use some of it day by day and week by week to invest in the ecosystem. So we use, in December, we actually publicly produce a quarterly market report talking about what's going on in the XRP markets. And we sell a little bit with market makers to incentivize market makers. We want to make sure we have very tight liquidity between XRP and other, not other digital currencies, but fiat. So if we want to go into, as I was describing earlier, into the Mexican peso, we want tight spreads between the Mexican peso and XRP and other currencies. So we work with market makers globally. We work with exchanges globally to make sure that there's very good liquidity to deliver on that.
Wow, honestly, just amazing stuff from the man himself, Brad Garlinghouse, Ripple CEO. Excited to have you. Really exciting just to be here at all. Thanks a bunch for joining us, Brad. And Brad, if you haven't already, and anybody else that hasn't already, don't forget to get a Ledger Nano S in the description. Grab the link in the description to get into Binance, to get all the XRP wrap, and to drop some memes. Man, Brad, you should drop some memes in the KungfuNerd subreddit. So KungfuNerd channel doing the Brad Garlinghouse interview like we promised we would, dropping it in hot. Thanks, Brad, for tuning in. Thanks for joining us, and thank you all for joining us as well. Cheers as always. Don't forget to smash that subscribe button, smash that like button, and have a great day until I see you next time.
Brought to you by your teeth.